learning medical devices. We are early adapters. Vascular surgeons usually try to do everything before anybody else. Clinical community is diverse. One end of the spectrum are innovators and early adapters who are enthusiastic about adopting new ideas, or the late majority or laggards who will never accept any solution. We call them dinosaurs, no matter how many others use it or how promising it will be.
If you want to shake things up, you start with something small. You break a norm or an idea or convention, some little business model, but you go with things that people are kind of tired of anyway. Everybody gets excited because you're busting up something that everyone wanted in the first place. That's the inflection point. That's the place where you have to look within yourself and ask, am I the kind of person who will keep going? Will you break more things? Break bigger things? Are you willing to break the thing that nobody wants you to break? Because at that point, people are not going to be on your side. They're going to call you crazy. They're going to say you're a bully. They're going to tell you to stop. Even your partner will say, you need to stop. Because as it turns out, nobody wants you to break the system itself. But that is what true disruption is.
So I did broke the system. The fifth cardiovascular revolution is essential to understand that with time, AI, intelligent swarming, KCR will grow exceptionally in cardiovascular medicine. The significant economic burden associated with this implantation will decrease not only over time, but also the return on investment will be worth the initial capital buy-in. So we started with something small. We started to apply general AI to look at recurring pattern machine matching human cognitive capacity. We did not even apply super artificial intelligence. And this was about stroke management. And what we find was mind-blowing. So in 1992, this is the differences in hemorrhagic risk or neurological benefits of TPA for ischemic stroke aren't apparent. Rate of any neurological improvement was small, but it doesn't exclude any improvement over natural history. This is the intravenous TPA that everybody's doing in any place for patients with stroke. Moved to 1995, the ACAS-1 trial, which got the FDA approval. Despite an increased incidence of symptomatic end cerebral hemorrhage, treatment with intravenous TPA within the 3 hours of onset of ischemic stroke, there's no difference. Treating ischemic stroke patients is associated with an unacceptable increased risk of hemorrhagic complication and death. Intravenous cannot currently be recommended for use in acute ischemic stroke patients, and then at that time we got FDA approval to be used. I don't know why. Then this is the ACAS-2, because ACAS-1 had failed, ACAS-2 went on. A failed trial with 2.5-fold of end-cerebral bleed when you give intravenous TPA without any benefit for the patient. Medicare approval for $2,000 per intravenous shots for physician neurologist. Then 1999, they start to do the PRO-ACT and the Atlantis. Both of them are huge studies. And both of them showed no difference. In fact, we're doing more harm than benefit, and sometimes placebo is much more safer than intravenous TPA. Then they started to do ECAS-3. ECAS-1 failed, ECAS-2 failed, ECAS-3 went on. TPA was more frequent associated with symptomatic end cerebral hemorrhage. Hazard of fatal or non-fatal symptomatic end cerebral hemorrhage in 7 days occurred in 7% of patients in the intravenous TPA versus 1% in the placebo group. More deaths occurred within 7 days of the intravenous more than in the placebo group. However, Medicare approval increased from 2,000 to 2,500 per intravenous shot for physician neurologist. Then Cochrane review came in, which is the highest level of evidence. And again, it shows a disaster outcome for intravenous TPA, which everybody's using it, and there's no change. However, Medicare approval for $3,000 per intravenous shot for physician neurologist. I'm just showing you what's happening. That's pure science. I'm not trying to tell anything. Continuous failure of intravenous TPA is a major concern. All of us do carotid, and when you do the endarterectomy and you find this cheesy material, there's no TPA will dissolve that. In your dreams, it will ever. It's like a shot in the dark. So we started looking again at the recurring pattern and machine matching human cognitive capacities to look what's going on. So the artificial intelligence algorithmic that they have set up warn us about the intravenous TPA. TPA utilization has increased by tenfold, but only less than 4% of all stroke patients benefit from such shock in the dark scenario. There is an urgent need to develop new techniques that provides global brain protection for neuronal and non-neuronal injury cells. To overcome practical challenges, we introduce triple neuroprotection in patients with emergency carotid endarterectomy after failed TPA or beyond 24 hours therapeutic TPA window. It's like a Russian roulette. An alternative to TPA failure has been a daunting challenge in wake-up ischemic stroke patient management while passively waiting to observe a clinical response to intravenous thrombolysis. Uncertainty exists in strategy of those presented beyond the therapeutic TPA window. Clinical dilemma in this situation prolonged transitional period of inertia, resulting in a major adverse neurological outcome. So this is the DAWN study and the DIFFUSE study. DAWN and DIFFUSE trial showed efficacy of thrombectomy in patients with intracranial ICA occlusion and last one well timed up to 24 hours. Thrombectomy have high efficacy, but patient selection is very complex. Dismal prognosis of non-localized ischemic stroke patient and substantial clinical benefit of reperfusion therapy in late presenters. Rescue perfusion therapies for acute ischemic stroke patient not fulfilling all clinical and imaging inclusion criteria is a feasible option. Incorporating new data to treatment algorithms may seem perplexing to stroke physicians, since treatment and imaging capability of each stroke center may dictate diverse treatment algorithms. So we know from all the trials that recommend mechanical thrombectomy for patients with ICA or M1 occlusion. Better disability outcome at 90 days after mechanical thrombectomy and decline with longer time from symptom onset to arterial function indicated that each 1 hour delay to reperfusion was associated with worse disability. Any delay or period of inertia to mechanical thrombectomy, including observing passively for a clinical response after intravenous thrombolysis with success rate of less than 4%, is dangerous and unethical. So why triple neuroprotection? Is a viable option in wake-up stroke patient, where patients wake up with stroke after going for routine sleep. Wake-up stroke patients are 30% of all ischemic stroke patients. It's not possible to clinically pinpoint exactly timing of stroke onset in wake-up stroke patients, leaving clinicians with therapeutic dilemma. Unfortunately, there is inefficient evidence for treatment recommendation in this patient, and they are particularly vulnerable to disabilities and death. Triple neuroprotection in this subgroups serves a dual advantage purpose, overcomes therapeutic uncertainty and increase favorable outcomes. It decreases the recruitment of penumbral tissue into the ischemic core patient injured brain. It decreases cerebral edema by vasoconstriction and neuronal injury prevention by limiting campase activation, cell apoptosis, and inflammatory cascade, and preservation of blood-brain barrier. Carotid technology is far away from us. We don't have this technology yet, but it will happen over the next 10 years for sure, I'm 100%. Where you just put your eye drops, which is a small mechanical structure that goes in through natural orifices, goes inside your ophthalmic artery to the internal carotid, clear your internal carotid artery or the A1, M1, and then whenever it finishes, maybe on its way, goes to the coronaries, you'll be able to pee it off through natural orifice. Until then, we have to have a better way of solving the problem. Again, we went on through an AI program. So what we have used, we have increased what we usually do routinely. We increase our induction with narcotic-based 500 milligrams of fentanyl to noise change in blood pressure, preserving dysfunction of combined hyperperfusion, barbiturate infusion to decrease cerebral metabolic rate and create isoelectric brain activity, noradrenaline infusion to maintain systemic induced hypertension above 180 to 200. We never shunt these patients. We give 1 liter of pulse line over 45 minutes in order to cool the patient to 32 to 35 degrees. Combination systemic induced hypertension, fentanyl, barbiturate target, hypothermia all serve as a triple neuroprotection. And we have extensively published all this, and you find that on the literature because it's very important to observe the assessment of it. Despite the absence of control study compared surgery or endovascular therapy in patients who fail antipsychotic therapy, carotid surgery in young patients can be justified as a personalized precision approach given high morbidity and mortality in young age patients. So what we do that when we give the phenobarbital for this patient, we get isoelectric brain wave. Only activity picked up on the forehead is the ECG trace. The brain is arrested. It's like when you give adenosine to the heart, we arrest the brain during such surgery. We cool the patient extensively and becoming good in doing all of this, and we mastered that. And as you can see that how we be able to do all these cases through doing the triple neuroprotection. Can you go forward, please? Can we go forward, please? Ah. I warned you, we'll crash into it. Just until you don't get it up and just understand what's going on in here. Remember, the neurologists hate vascular surgeons. The stroke physician hates vascular surgeon. Even when somebody who's 99%, they give them buttocks injection because it's a migraine stroke or occipital migraine stroke. They never involve us in any meeting, and we give this shot in the dark and nothing happened. They leave the patient to be rehabilitated. In spite of that, they have extensive 99% knows a lot of problem in here. Or they phone the neuroradiologist, oh, the patient haven't come from the IVTPA. Just leave him and do a lot of rehabilitation. This patient is the one that you'll be able to save. And when I started doing this, the amount of objection and challenges that I had was unheard of. Exactly what I saw. They saw that I'm crazy doing these cases until I prove that they are wrong. So when you feel that things could be done in the right way, insist and don't get anybody to break you, because when you do something that you believe in, you'll be able to get it over the line. So now currently anybody have this problem post 24, oh, since this guy he doing this stuff and he called the patient. So basically we freeze the patient until we get him below 62 degrees. I will not press anything until you give me the go ahead. I'm waiting, I'm not pressing anything at all. And this patient comes in and we start doing the surgery, and you need to have a very good anesthesis. After the surgery, we keep them ventilated for almost about 8 to 24 hours in the ICU, but they're fully awake until they warm up totally. And I'll show you nice videos of this patient when they go to the ICU, they're texting, reading, and the tube still in their mouths. But to be sure that we don't have a hyperprophageal syndrome, because you'll be able to control everything at that time. It's a challenging situation, and it needs a lot of teamwork. You have to have a very good anesthesia, very good intensive care unit, and the selection of this patient is very simple. You do an MRI and hope that you don't have a major, more than one cell of the brain is gone, because more than that, you have to end doing what you're doing. Is there any chance you got the slides back on? Okay, I'll give you more time, no problem at all. We'll just go back to